In January, the Hood River Planning Commission voted 3-2 to deny Line 29 Architecture's application to build a hotel at 419 State Street. The application wasn't denied due to traffic concerns, inadequate parking, or the height of the building. It was denied based on 3 of the commissioners ruling that the building was incompatible with the surrounding area, which included the residential neighborhood to the south. In their January vote, commissioners talked about the fact they had spent hours reading and listening to information about the project and told why they felt compelled to vote the way they did.
I'll go ahead and motion to approve the file with the conditions as listed in the staff report.
Okay, do we have a second for this motion?
We're voting up or down on the project right now.
Well, we need a second.
We need a second for the motion.
I mean, I will second that.
Okay, and then we can go down the line and vote yes
Do you
or
have any
no.
discussion or,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I believe the applicant has done a lot to attempt to meet the compatibility standard. I see it. I see it in the stepping back. I see it in the approach to state. I just believe with the bulk and the scale of that structure, it's not possible to meet with that or with that many rooms. I see the effort. And so I've struggled a lot with this topic and have hyper-analyzed it over the course of seemingly many months. So I just want to say I put a lot of thought into this, and it's with great care that I've come to this moment. And so.
thank you. I agree that I think that I really appreciate every single person's participation in this and their opinions on everything. And for me, I feel like there's a pretty clear set of standards for me for judging this project, and I feel like they've been met.
This was very hard for me too, because I'm new to the council. I studied it for the last month. I've read thousands of pages from the planning commission handbook to everything these guys have done. I think it's a very nice project. I just think it's in the wrong spot. I think it's not compatible with almost anything. I think it's a dangerous precedent to have that much traffic added to the already failing intersections. I've got the 3 closest businesses to that project, which is really hard for me. I'm a block away. I have 3 retail businesses, which would probably benefit, but the health of the town means more to me than that. So I'm going to have to say no on this, just from compatibility standards. Sorry.
Okay, we'll take an official vote here in a minute. I have to all make a speech, but if you have anything else to add, please
was
feel
it.
free, and then we'll vote.
I got it done.
Okay, well then let's take a vote on the motion.
No.
No.
Yes.
No. Chair votes yes. So we have a majority.
3-2.
So your motion failed.
Yes, our motion failed.
Line 29 Architecture appealed the decision, and the City Council set up March 30th as the date for the appeal hearing. Unfortunately, no one at the city seemed to notice that Line 29 Architecture was going to be the appellant presenting their case, the applicant presenting their case, and then the appellant rebutting the case. Under that scenario, people who had opposed the project or supported the decision by the Planning Commission to deny the application would be denied a chance to rebut anything that the appellant stated at the March 30th hearing. Fortunately, procedural objections arose from 2 people. Mayor Blackburn explained the situation.
Tonight's hearing reflected the process described in our city code, which doesn't exactly fit the dynamic we have here, where the applicant appeals a planning commission denial that was based on a single criterion. The notice anticipated a closed record with summary oral argument only by the applicant who has appealed. After the notice was issued, however, we received 2 procedural objections. These parties asked for the opportunity to present argument to us in this appeal. Let me turn this over to the city attorney and city planner for their recommendation on the proper process. Thank you, John.
Your code anticipates something other than an applicant who is denied at the planning commission level and appeals. And so the process that the code provides is what is in the notice. But the procedural objections we received, the objection I think is based partly on the fact that the applicant can provide summary legal argument that they would like to rebut anything that the applicant might say to you in a summary legal argument. And number two, urge you to adopt the planning commission's decision.
Dan went on to explain that because the notice to the public said that only the applicant, line 29, architecture, could provide testimony at the meeting, people now at the meeting may not be ready to provide their comments or be able to rebut what the applicant argued. The people present also wouldn't be able to urge council members to adopt the planning commission's decision. Dan recommended continuing, in other words, postponing the hearing until April 13th, when line 29 architecture would argue why they thought the planning commission decision was a mistake, while members of the public could describe why the issue under appeal, the decision that the building didn't meet compatibility standards, was correct. Dan then went on to remind city council members which party has the burden of proof in this planning decision for the city.
The applicant has the burden of proof. Did it at the very beginning, did it the planning commission, even if, the applicant had won below and the neighbors appealed, the applicant still has the burden of proof at the end of the day, at the end of your decision. So the applicant should be allowed to, explain their case to you. We recommend that you continue this until April 13th.
A timeline for testimony followed, and then Mayor Blackburn asked Mary Ellen Baralotti, one of the people who had objected to the public being barred from speaking on March 30th, to come up and talk about her concerns and how she believed those could be best addressed.
We're inviting folks to give us their opinion about this process the lawyer is recommending. Please, come on up.
Good evening. I'm Mary Ellen Baralotti. I'm one of the persons that wrote the procedural concerns. I'm not here to argue for or against the merits of anything, but I just wanted the council to understand that an issue for me that's very important is public participation, and it sort of borders on like due process. People with standing at the planning commission spend a lot of time, effort, and money to present their point of view. And usually, in my experience anyway, I am a retired public county attorney, at the appellate level, on both levels, as a give and take. Here you have the appellant be able to speak, then the applicant, then the appellant, then the applicant. Now, those are all the same person. So the developers get 3 bites at the apple and the public gets none. So I'm glad to see that you've recognized some unfairness there in this process.
Mary Ellen emphasized the importance for new public comments to focus on the issue that was the basis for denying the application. That is, the Planning Commission's decision that the project failed to meet the standards for compatibility for the site.
It's on the record, it's not de novo. In other words, you can't bring anything in. People didn't appeal, for example, the parking decision of the Planning Commission. They didn't appeal any of the other findings.
She expressed her hope that it would be made clear to people what their testimony should include.
People don't waste their time arguing about parking or something like that. They could be telling you what the finding was, it wasn't compatible, and the elements that go into what compatibility is. And those were the arguments that people who are still opposed to the project should be focused on. I'll try to share that as much as I can. I'm not a part of any organization that's being represented. I'm, as I say to people, I'm not licensed in Oregon, but doesn't mean that I have to keep my mouth shut. So I appreciate Mr. Nelson's responses to the communications we've had. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
So to reiterate the timeline, April 13th at the City Council meeting, line 29 architecture and members of the public can make public testimony, oral or written. Line 29 architecture will present their reasons for why they believe the Planning Commission's decision was flawed and incorrect and why their proposal should be supported. Members of the public can speak about the compatibility issue or describe why they believe the Planning Commission's decision on compatibility was correct. They can also present written arguments. The final deadline for written arguments is April 20th at 5 p.m. That gives people a chance to have listened to line 29 architecture's new or revised arguments and rebut those. Remember, line 29 architecture should be the one with the burden of proof to the City Council. And finally, on April 27th at 6 p.m., unless there are any other surprises, the City Council will make their final decision based on information in the public record. There will be no testimony from anyone on April 27th regarding the issue.